So today I want to talk about brand positioning. Now, brand positioning essentially is the place or the position that your brand occupies within your chosen genre or niche. So the easiest way people use to be able to kind of differentiate between brands is obviously by deciding, is this product a low-end product or a high-end product, a luxury product? But there are other ways in which you could differentiate your brand. So you could also be thinking about the scale between informal to formal. And if you have perhaps a food or drink product, you could also be thinking about the scale between processed to organic, right? So it's just kind of where you fit in the grand scheme of things. Now, brand positioning is important because that is usually what defines your brand as a whole. And the reason for that is what I will go on to explain. So if you want to kind of be able to develop your brand positioning today, there are kind of 5 key things in which you need to do. So number 1, you need to be able to identify your current brand positioning. Now, if you've never kind of considered your brand positioning before in this kind of formal way, you still have a brand position, right? So your brand positioning currently will be down to what people think of you, the sorts of clients you've been able to help so far, or the sort of audience that you've been able to attract. All of these things are going to inform your current brand positioning. Okay, so it's really down to you to have a really long think kind of about the current position of your brand, where you think it is, because then that will form the starting point for what you're going to go on to do next. So the second thing you need to do then is to identify your competitors. And I know this one is a bit of a sticky subject to talk about because a lot of people find it awkward and, they don't like to see other people as their competition, which I agree to. Definitely I agree with. However, within your genre, within your niche, there are going to be people who are going to be doing similar things to you. And so where those people are kind of more successful than you, or they've been able to grow a larger community, it's worth kind of seeing how they're doing it, which is exactly the third thing that you really need to do. The third point here is that you need to conduct a thorough competitor research. See what they're doing, look at their social media, check out their website, see how and what sort of content they're making, see how they're engaging with their audience, kind of see how their services work perhaps, or see how their products work and how they kind of run things essentially. So that's what you really need to do if you want to be able to understand your competition completely. The fourth thing then that you need to do is to, having done all that research, is to then identify your USP. What's unique about your brand? This is going to really form the crux of your brand positioning kind of going forwards. What is unique about your brand that you want to share with the rest of the world? So in essence, what is your USP, right? So really being able to define that, and if you can get that in just one sentence, that would be ideal. Just something that you can actually rehearse and learn and be able to kind of say at any given time, something that's really unique to the brand that you're building for yourself. And finally, based off everything that we've already spoken about, you're now finally able to create your positioning statement. Now, this positioning statement will be the statement that kind of encapsulates everything to do with your brand in one kind of tidy way. So there are 3 things you need to definitely include in this brand positioning statement, like I said, based off all this previous research you've already done. The first one will be to make mention of your target consumer. Who is it that you're trying to reach out to? Who is it that you're trying to help? What sort of audience, what sort of target consumers are you trying to reach with your brand or with your product, whatever it is that you do? The second thing you need to include there is obviously the product or the service category that you have to offer. You need to make it clear what it is that you're actually being able to offer people, just so it's clear and people can know straight away that this is what you're about and this is what you have to offer. And then the final thing you need to include there is then the benefits of your product or service. So now people know and understand what it is that you do. How is it actually going to be of benefit to them? So you want to take all these three things and make them into a positioning statement. Again, this statement should be pretty short. Again, something that you can recite off by heart. But within that statement, anyone who's reading it should be able to know immediately what your brand is about, what you stand for, what service you're able to provide, and how it's actually going to be of value and of help to them. So that is how you go about building your brand positioning statement. And I would strongly advise that as you go into this 2021, that you have something that's core to your brand, that's clear about your brand, so that you'll be able to attract the sort of target audience that you really want to. So that's definitely something that I challenge you to do this week as you go into this new year.